lost to Fort Lewis here yesterday. Adams State dropped the decision to Texas Permian Basin. So these two teams both looking to come out of here with a win. UTPB will face the Skyhawks to wrap up weekend of Division II college basketball action. Northern New Mexico on the board first there. Guillaume Garcia, the freshman from Barcelona, Spain, knocking that one down. There's a nice steal in backcourt from Harris. Feeds their leading scorer, Connor Kelly, with a big finish. And the Grizzlies find themselves down 4-0 early. They trailed early yesterday. They jumped out 6-2 over Texas Permian Basin, and the Falcons responded with an 8-0 run and pretty much controlled the rest of the game, although Adams State was able to regain a lead briefly after a nice little run in the second half. Grizzlies trail early here, 4-0. Boy, there's a foul on Harris. Yeah, a little push there. On Luke Williams, a 6-foot freshman guard from Denver, getting the start today instead of Lamont Sanders. The 6-foot junior from Baltimore started yesterday, was one of their leading scorers, actually. In yesterday's contest, Grizzlies looking to get on the board here. That's Walker on the take. He took an extra step in the lane, kicked it out to Mason Adelaide, who stepped on the sideline right in front of the Northern New Mexico bench. The Fort Lewis College Skyhawk women in action in a neutral court just up the road in Alamosa, the home of Adams State. Our women playing right now against Embry-Riddle University. As I said, in a non-conference game. Skyhawks beat this Northern New Mexico team 88-63 yesterday. Adams State on the board now. Number 21, Isaiah Sampson, with the first bucket of the game for the Grizzlies. That's Kelly on the left side. Work it up top to Satterfield. Satterfield down the left side of the lane. Not sure who he was looking to skip that to on the other side, but ends up stolen. They get the outlet to Walker. Steal by Sampson, the outlet to Walker for an easy finish. Thomas ran the floor with him. We saw Damian Thomas in a little bit of foul trouble yesterday. He holds off there instead of committing the foul and gives up the layup instead after the turnover. We're tied at 4. Connor Kelly with it up top. Satterfield on the right side wing. That's, Guillaume Garcia down low. He had the first bucket of the game, misses there. And then a foul on the rebound, going to be charged to at number 30. That is going to be Thomas's first. My sidekick, Rick O'Block, wandering in. I knew he'd be here for the Fort Lewis game. This will be bonus time, whatever we get out of Rick for this one. Beautiful day in Durango today. I kind of thought my partner would be out riding his bike.
I was watching bike racing earlier today. Cyclocross at the college.
Okay.
Fun. Crazy sport. No, thank you.
I also saw someone parasailing off a smelter. And
yeah.
Thought that might be you too.
No, I will not do that.
That's not on your list of adventure seeking?
I absolutely refuse to do that.
Well, I can tell you it was a short trip for him today. Not much for thermals out there. I didn't get halfway through town, and he was down in Santa Rita already.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, he came down pretty quick. Yep. Good to see someone out giving it a try, though, the week before Thanksgiving.
It's a beautiful sport, but just not something I have zero interest in. I saw some guy, unfortunately, have a tragic accident.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I was the last one to talk to him. I'm like, so be careful if I'm the last guy you talk to.
I guess I do decide to go on any kind of adventures, I'm not telling you about it. No, I do enjoy watching those guys.
Oh, it's amazing, and I have a lot of admiration for them, but, no thanks.
Muhammad Jafari knocks that one down for Northern New Mexico. They're up 9-6 in the early going. Tied, though, Sampson out to a quick start. He's got 5 points for the Grizzlies. Isaiah Sampson, the 6'7 junior from Camas, Washington, by way of Peninsula Community College. Jafari works it down low to Satterfield, backing in baseline over the freshman Williams. Score of the bucket.
Sort of a different look from Northern New Mexico from last night when they got into that huge deficit early into the game.
Walker bangs this one down. Yeah, they jumped out 4-0 over Adams State here. Each team showing one different starter than they did yesterday. Harris making the start for Northern New Mexico, number 3 today, and then 22, the freshman Luke Williams starting in place of Sanders for Adams State. Garcia loses the handle. I think Williams the first one to get a hand on it. Benjamin ends up with it.
I just talked to Coach Petrak. That's why I was late. And he sang a lot of praises for Northern New Mexico. He said they were a good team and played well last night. Fort Lewis was just dominating.
Yeah, if we're going to hit shots early, we can absolutely shoot teams out of games. It's not going to be the last time we see it happen.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the game with Fort Lewis and Permian, excuse me. That
we can call him Permian.
No, Permian. I don't want to make anybody angry.
Okay.
We have enough of that.
Kind of early in the day for that.
Probably hit me on Twitter for wrong name pronunciation or something. But
no, that's only my home fans.
So anyway, he's excited about this game, Coach Petrak. He thinks this is going to be a huge test as to the ability and skill of the team and how they'll measure up going into conference play. That's really right around the corner.
Right. I think, and honestly, after seeing what we did yesterday, from one game to the next, Texas Permian Basin's going to show something different than what they showed against Adams State yesterday. I thought UTPB was two different teams in that game against Adams State yesterday. Their leading scorer just absolutely lit it up in the first half, and in about the first 10 minutes. Say had 22 points in the first 10 minutes of the game and then didn't score again until the last 10 minutes of the game. They had other guys contribute then in the gap there.
Well, I only saw the second half, and it was sort of nip and tuck, and then at the end they just sort of stepped on the accelerator and took them out.
And they seemed to be a different team finishing Adams State than they were the team that jumped out to the big lead on them, and then they were a different team in the middle there too. So curious to see which of those squads shows up, or if it's just that's how they match up depending on what's coming at them. I mean, that's not necessarily a weakness for a team to be able to kind of shift gears and put different looks out there on the floor. So,
well, we talk about it all the time how basketball is a game of runs, and if you can sustain that momentum, and Fort Lewis, I'm sure that Permian Basin is thinking, well, we have to withstand the initial push by Fort Lewis at the beginning of the game. Home crowd will probably be a big crowd, and if we can survive that, then we can get the game close again and just go back and forth. It's interesting how basketball does that.
Yeah, and I will be curious to see. It is an awful nice day in Durango, but the sun will be dropping in the sky and it'll be cooling off there. It should chase some people in here. We might have a late arriving crowd though tonight. Speaking of crowds, man, Rick, how fun was it yesterday? The N7. That's as good an N7 crowd as I've been here for.
Well, that's the best one I've seen. And I talked to a couple people afterwards, and they were like, "How cool was the whole experience?" From the dancing to the drums to it was just the national anthem in Native American. It was just great.
Well, and I'll tell you what, for me, the fan experience of it, There's a great Native American, let's face it, there's a great Native American basketball tradition in the West, too. In those fans, they're rabid high school fans. Bring them here into the college setting. They had a couple of local heroes to cheer for in that girls' game. That just, like I said, the whole thing, it just definitely elevated to the next level, the N7 experience here this year.
Yeah, and how we talked about it last night, but how cool was it for Coach to play starters?
To start the three Native American girls.
It was just really classy move, and it just goes to show what direction the program's going, quite frankly.
Right. Girls in action right now. As you were walking up, I was just getting ready to pull up and see if I could pull scores from that girls' game. They're in action up in Alamosa right now against Embry-Riddle.
Probably good at designing airplanes. I don't know how they are playing basketball.
You see, you're going to take that shot, but I was just going to say, boy, I'm glad I'm not announcing that game. You were hacking on me for my math last night. Imagine what those fans would be doing. Embry-Riddle up 18-14 in that game, by the way. 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. High scoring first quarter. Canty, one of the big freshmen off the bench with the miss for Adams State there. Harris rises and fires. And Jamal Harris got the start, the senior guard out of Anderson, Indiana. He was a heck of a sixth man last night. Put him out there with the first 5 today. Grizzlies, though, still up by 5. They turn it over again. Northern New Mexico running on him a little bit. Connor Kelly, he started slow yesterday. Not so much today. He's got 6 points here already in the first half, and the Grizzly leads down to 3.
Yeah, they have 5 players from outside the U.S., and all of them made huge contributions last night in the game against Fort Lewis.
Walker with a big miss. Grizzlies are one and done. Garcia the other way tries to tie it. Boy, Harris up high to keep the rebound alive, but Adelaide takes it away. Williams, the freshman, into the lane, getting the start tonight. He's going to draw the foul, head to the line.
Herrera on the foul there, and that was clearly a block. Nice drive by Adams State to get to the hole. Number 22, Luke Williams.
Out of Chaparral High School in Denver. Athletic from what we've seen so far. Josiah Ramos, freshman point guard from Albuquerque, checking in for Northern New Mexico. I don't know that we saw him yesterday. Rick?
I don't think we did see him yesterday, actually. That's, I don't remember seeing him either. Freshman, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Williams, the freshman who started for Adams, we didn't see yesterday at all. So,
this is the time of year coaches are sort of feeling out different lineups, what contributions different players can make, how they assess the play on the court, how do they play defense. So this is a great opportunity for coaches to do that.
Harris going to have to race the shot clock. I don't think he got that off.
Boy, what a move, though, by Harris. Jamal Harris. Baseline move, lifted it up off the glass in, but a little bit after the buzzer. Didn't count. Malik Norrell is coming in. For
Adams State struggling a little bit, and they did early yesterday, too. Going through a little bit of a drought here right now, even though they've got the 3-point lead. And that's something we've seen from Adams State teams. That, we've seen them run hot and cold over the years. But both of these teams seem better offensively than they did yesterday playing against Fort Lewis and Permian Basin.
Well, you have to sort of attribute that to the defense of both teams. And that's what's going to be something I'm going to be really interested in, is how the defense plays for both teams. Not so much the offense, because we know that both of them can light it up, but how do they play defense? That's a tough shot.
Was a big, tough miss by Pemberton, the junior from Miami. We also didn't see him yesterday. Nice job at the other end by Jalen Reed, the 6'4 junior from Lodi, California. Ends the drought for Adams State. I believe it was a 6-0 run for The Eagles, before that bucket by Reed, make it a 5-point lead again for the Grizzlies. Pemberton hands back to Herrera. He can't hold on. Reed there defensively.
Jalen Reed telling the official which way that ball goes. Durango Demons up by 21 points in their semifinal game, or their quarterfinal game.
Yep, they packed the parking lot. I did see that. I was up on that end of town. Right just about 15 minutes before that game started.
Yeah, I was going to try and make it to that game. It just never worked out. But good luck to them.
That's kind of the same thing happened to me, too, yeah. Hold out and get there next weekend, maybe.
Durango Demons on quite a run in the football side of things. One state championship, quarterfinal, semifinal, and here they're number 2 in the state this year. So having a good run. You got to take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah, when, those from a small town, when you get the teams and can do that, the bad thing is high school level, is if you get those teams for a few years, everybody starts to expect it, right? And sooner or later you come back to earth. And oftentimes I've seen over the years, the best jobs coaches do are in those years when they don't have the kids.
Sure.
Because my friend Eric Rourke, you met him a couple of days ago. He spoke about that, he's talking to some of the Skyhawk players. Said he had actually coached at SMU a year. They went 0-12. He said it was the best year he ever had as a coach because he had to. He had to have his best year as a coach.
Sure.
You know?
I mean, it's more challenging when you
but those are the years we usually judge coaches the harshest for, right?
Well, and unfortunately, it's usually the years that the parents go, how come my kid didn't win a state championship? I want my kid to go to Division I.
Right.
Very few kids get that opportunity to play at the collegiate level, Division II, Division I.
Right.
I talked to Coach John L. Smith, who was a Division I coach for Arkansas, Louisville, and Michigan State. And he came down here and coached for a couple of years, did amazing things with the team, but he told me the biggest difference between Division I and Division II is just the depth of the players. It wasn't that they were necessarily any bigger, much more talented. It was just more of them.
Right.
Talented, more back, deeper in the lineup.
Right. Well, and that's the neat thing about Division II is, there's a little bit of that high school holdover with Division II of, you can work hard enough to make this an experience for yourself. There's a lot of kids commit to that Division I route who have their last play in high school.
You bet.
Whereas maybe kids who were inferior to them in high school go the NAIA D2, D3 route and end up having pretty neat college careers.
Nice shot there by number 22, Reyes Herrera. Little floater.
Saw him bang some down last night, too. Reed in backcourt gets doubled against the full court pressure. Able to get it ahead to her. He skips across court to Walker. Scuba down low, Sampson. Back up top, Reed for three. That's off the front iron, no good. Pemberton, the easy board for the Eagles. Here comes Herrera driving baseline, double team kick up top. Hesitation dribble there from Ramos. Drop it down low to Pemberton, and he's going to draw the foul.
Isaiah Sampson on the foul there. That was a nice look. And we've got, Malik Petty comes in off the bench and sort of puts a little juice into these guys, and they're running the court pretty well, only down by 5.
Right. And we saw him do that yesterday. He's one of those spark plug type players, I think. A little bit of a momentum guy. Pemberton at the line. Misses that free throw. They'll get another. Here we're seeing Adams State going to lean on the depth thing, right? I would imagine they might think they go a little deeper, although we saw 10 or 11 from northern New Mexico. And like you said, Rick, it's that time of year where coaches are going to play more kids than they probably will in January. So,
everybody wants to win the games, but these games, they don't count.
Right.
I mean, they're used to evaluate the team and to get them game ready.
Sometimes you don't really win the November games until February.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's a good point.
Williams into the lane. He's going to kick it back out. Reed wants a 3-ball again. That's good. Adams State, gritty. We talked about that yesterday, too. Big shots when they need them. Reed off the bench has got 8 points to lead them now.
Several of the Fort Lewis players showing up, and I like that. They come out and they watch the other team, how they play, maybe what they can do in their own game. That's how you improve, and good to see several of the players here already.
Well, it's a focused group, right? You've got a bunch of seniors there who they've been close. They've tasted a little bit of success. They've tasted just enough that they want more before this college basketball journey is over. So it's one of those teams. They got talent. They've got leadership. And that shows up in things like coming and watching other basketball, and I guarantee you probably go and catch up with those guys over the break on an off day, and they're going to be sitting around together watching basketball games.
Or playing Madden. Yeah, when I talked to Coach Petrick, one of the things he said was, we had a really good team last year, but they're sort of like a truck. This is sort of like a Ferrari. Team speed, quickness, agility, explosiveness. That's the other thing, that's so big in college sports right now is explosiveness.
And we saw plenty of that from the Skyhawks yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. It was impressive what they did to start the game. And the number of players that played, he did a good job rotation. I was really impressed with the women's team in that they played all of their players.
And Taylor stuck with the group on the floor at the end, even though they were struggling, and Northern New Mexico had gotten back into it a little bit. I was especially happy with that.
No numbers here, 2-on-3. I think he was on the baseline or sideline there.
Little ragtag now. The freshman Williams in the lane. That's going to be a charge, you bet. Ramos sets up on that one.
Nice
and I don't know that Ramos's position was all that good, but Williams was clearly, it was one of those things where if you're a ref, you sit there and he should have passed the ball. He should have gotten rid of it.
Connor Kelly comes back in. I recall he was our leading scorer statistically coming into last night's game. Struggled in the first half.
Yeah, he came alive late, and he had 6 early in this one, but he's been quiet since. 8 minutes to go in the half. Grizzlies. Thomas just mishandles that one at the free throw line. Reed comes away with it. Reed off the bench has been good 2 days in a row now. That's Benjamin with it at the free throw line. Backing in on Ramos, and it's going to be fouled.
Getting a little testy.
The elbow hook dance.
That would have been a bug in a windshield right there.
Yeah, credit Ramos for just sticking with Benjamin there. 'Cause Benjamin's a big, strong boy. 7:41 to go here in the first half. The Adams State Grizzlies on top of the Northern New Mexico Eagles, 27-20. Colby Walker with 8 points, and Jalen Reed 8 points each to lead the Grizzlies. Sampson has 5. Those all came really early in the game. Sampson, I thought they were just going to keep feeding the big boy in the post the way the game started, but Reed and Walker have taken over from the perimeter since. Connor Kelly is their leading scorer for Northern New Mexico right now with 6. Satterfield's got 5. Garcia's got 2. That was the first bucket of the game. 3-pointers. That one is all about the Grizzlies. 5 of 9 from the 3-point line for Adams State. Pretty much accounts for the lead. Northern New Mexico 0 for 4 from the charity stripe. Free throw line, the Grizzlies 4 of 6. Northern New Mexico 2 for 3. Rebounds, the Eagles with a 10-8 edge. Turnovers, though, 8 turnovers for Northern New Mexico, 5 for Adams State. Grizzlies with 5 assists. And my friend Rick O'Block will tell you, if you can keep those numbers even, that's good news for you.
Good news for you.
Northern New Mexico, though, at what you'd expect, with the scoreboard showing what it is, only 3 assists to go with the 8 turnovers. So
Yeah, that's on the wrong side of the dial.
That's probably the stat that stands out the most besides Adams State banging down 4 of 9 threes, or 5 of 9 threes, I guess, here in the early going. That just doesn't seem fair. Although we have seen teams come into this gym and shoot even better than that.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of years ago, we talk about the Skyhawks' defensive woes, and some of them are, just that last year was much more focused on offense. We talked about the team this year putting a little bit more of a premium, or a lot more of a premium on defense. But, boy, the way teams came in here 2 years ago and shot the ball, I don't care who you were, it was people don't shoot that well without anybody on the floor. We had teams in here shooting 17 for 19.
Right.
And I think Adams State was one of those teams.
That's
Came in and had a really, really good night. That's a great take by Josiah Ramos.
Really nice play on that. Took it to the rack and picked up the and one. Cut the lead. Could cut the lead to 5.
Both of these teams just look so much more comfortable than they did yesterday. And again, probably a credit. What it's telling me the same thing it did you, Rick, as wow. In addition to the offensive fireworks we saw from Fort Lewis and UTPB yesterday, they're two pretty good defensive teams too, judging by what we're seeing in this matchup here today.
Absolutely. Ramos misses the free throw there. Lead at 6.
Reed a little out of control, able to get the ball to Sampson, who bails him out. Tries to pass to Walker. Ramos, there's still a loose ball. Benjamin comes up with it to Reed for 3. That's off the back iron, no good. And look at Harris go up for the rebound.
He's got some major
Yeah,
hops.
he is.
He's been up around the rim a few times.
He's an athletic dude, that's for sure. Your pull-up jumper off the mark there, though.
Coach is telling him, just calm down, take your time. It's going to be replaced by number 22.
Herrera back in the game.
Reyes Herrera.
Full court pressure again. They leave Thomas back to guard the rim on that. Damian Thomas, the senior forward from DeSoto, Texas. Don't have height for... well, and there it is. He's a tall guy. Thomas with the rejection. Kelly the other way with it, lays it up. Can't get it, but he is fouled by Reed.
Tried that little finger roll. If he would have just put it off the glass, I think he thought it was going to be rejected, but if he just would have put it off the glass, chances are it either could have been a goaltend or it would have gone in. He would have got the 3-point attempt.
Yeah, I don't think he knew who was trailing him.
Yeah, you're right.
He knew there was someone there, but I don't think, because I think if he'd have known it was Reed, he may have gone ahead and attacked the rim a little more.
Well, and he also had Thomas as a trailer, and so he could have gone up, laid it off for Thomas. That would have been an easy dunk. Thomas is a pretty big guy.
Although they're waiting for highlight plays like that till the crowd fills in.
That's it.
Kelly misses 1 or 2 free throws, but a steal and a lay-in by Jared Perez, the junior from Chihuahua, Mexico, and he's going to have a 3-point play opportunity. Reed with the foul there. That'll be his second and send him to the bench. Adelaide back into the game. Just like that, Northern New Mexico has made it a one-possession game, a chance to close to within 2 here with 6:20 to go in the first half, and they get her done. Perez off the bench with a big, big play.
Triple team
defensively and offensively. Northern New Mexico starting to get after it a little bit. I talked about how both teams looked more comfortable today, Rick. Adams State starting to look a little uncomfortable right now.
They are. They had that
Eagles
7-point lead, and all of a sudden it's been cut to 2.
And Walker drops it down to Sampson. He rises, fires off the mark. Good job by Thomas out there defensively on him. And the Grizzlies struggling in the face of this defensive intensity. Kelly triple teamed, bounces at baseline to Perez. 3 ball on the way from Kelly's no good. Adelaide up high for the board. Out duels Perez for it. Then dribbles by Herrera into the lane. Tries to dump it off to Benjamin. Has it knocked away by Herrera. Stolen by Kelly. Kelly drops it back to Thomas. That's going to be an offensive foul. Out of control.
Yep.
Again, an easy one for the official. Benjamin clearly established position, and Thomas was just out of control in transition. Might show you why Kelly didn't lay it up off the glass for it in the last time.
Good point. Good point. Good point. So they're making a run here, though. 26-28.
They've made a great run.
Game.
It's been a really, for a neutral court, not a lot of fans here, this has been an entertaining first half. Put up by these two teams. A little more than 5 minutes to go here in the first. Fort Lewis, Texas Permian Basin set to tip off next. We'll have one more half to go in this one, of course. Adelaide trapped along the baseline. Pass knocked away. Garcia the other way with the jam.
That was a huge play.
Well, after getting out in transition a couple of times and missing buckets and missing opportunities, there you go, Rick. Just throw the dang thing down. I didn't know Garcia had those kind of hops.
I didn't either. That came out of the blue. Nice job by Garcia to push that ball up the court on the break off the steal.
And lost in the thrill of that big finish. They tied it up at 28 on that. Walker looking to answer. Cannot get it done. Benjamin the rebound. Backs into the lane, and he's going to be bailed out. Is it Satterfield who got him? It was. We've not seen Lamont Sanders, who started, the junior guard who started yesterday for Adams State, did not start today and hasn't played at all here in the first half. So,
got Brendan Boatwright walks into the gym with his camouflage hat on. We can barely see him. 6'9" guy, you can barely see him with that camouflage on.
Well, and I don't doubt he was probably hunting this morning. So
probably.
he came straight in from ridge walking. Adams up by one. Benjamin makes both free throws, makes it a 2-point bulge.
I actually did a state playoff game in football, and you always check in with the AD. You're supposed to be there 3 hours early before state playoff game. We show up, and the AD is supposed to greet us. We're like, where's the athletic director? And he's out hunting. It's like, well, is he going to come back and let us in, or what's the deal? Oh, yeah, he'll be here. He'll just show up a little late. Another steal.
Yeah,
nice
Perez the dish to Harris, and he's fouled by Adelaide. And Garcia before that with another really good finish.
Good steal there
by Garcia, the
Perez.
freshman from Barcelona, sparking him.
They got some momentum going now.
They do.
Mexico.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, I'm from Wyoming. I mean, they cancel playoff games for hunting season up there.
Seriously?
I don't know that they've ever done that,
wow.
But I do know. I mean, I remember a kid on a state championship team, and he ended up being a starter by the end of the year. I think he ended up being a starter by Christmas, but he wasn't until Christmas because he missed first 2 weeks of season to go hunting.
Is that right?
Yep. Team ended up winning state. He ended up hitting a couple of they were down 20 points with 6 minutes to go in the state championship game, came back and win it. He ended up hitting a couple of the threes that helped him come back in that one. One of the best, maybe the best, probably, definitely the best high school basketball game I'd ever been a part of.
Well, that's
But yeah, he was willing to trade that off for a little bit of deer hunting for a couple of weeks.
You gotta have your priorities. You gotta have your priorities.
No, it is. It's a big one. I mean, there's a lot of industries that really kind of shut down for October and November up there. Not mine, unfortunately. Once I became a grown-up, I couldn't keep doing it.
You got to keep the information coming out to everybody, right?
Yep.
Got number 3, Jamal Harris at the line here, shooting 2 off of the steal. And this would actually put them ahead after being down by 7.
Mm-hmm.
Good job coming back.
They jumped out early 4-0. Adams State came back, tied it right away, and Harris does give the Eagles their first lead in a really, really long time. They led for the first 2 minutes, 18 seconds of the game and hadn't led since until those free throws put the Eagles up by 2. And again, the full court pressure's been effective. And I think the Grizzlies, I don't know who touched it last, and it was knocked out of bounds by Benjamin. They're going to give it to,
I thought that
knocked out of bounds by Herrera. They're going to give it to Adams State.
I thought that was off of Benjamin. Too tough to tell from up here, but could have gone either way.
Nobody arguing it too hard because, I think it was one that could go either way. There's Raven Brown, the 6'4 junior, number 2 out of Colorado Springs with it. Walker. Boy, I think he had a nice shot there. Instead, he tried to force it into Benjamin at the high post. There's a give back to Harris.
Nice.
For a really, really nice finish. Harris now with 6 points.
They executed that 3-on-2 just absolutely perfect.
Eagles lead it by 4. 3:20 to go, first half. And again, the full court pressure. Garcia nearly comes up with a steal. And this has been effective enough for Northern New Mexico that Adams State doesn't just have to figure out how to beat it in the second half. They've got to figure out how to beat it and score early against it.
Right, absolutely.
Because Northern New Mexico is just going to pester them to death.
Jared Perez come out. He gave them a big spark in trying some turnovers in that full court press.
Well, and this Northern New Mexico team is, I think, a little bit smaller. So what do? You extend the game, make it a 90-foot game, and it's been effective for them so far. Benjamin rises along the baseline. Boy, way too strong. Going to be out of bounds off the freshman Caleb Mitchell, the 6'10 freshman from Skyline Prep in Fountain, Colorado. Noticed a couple of these big freshmen on this Adams State roster. And I don't think that's good news for the rest of the RMAC in a couple of years, because they both appear to be pretty high-skilled kids who just need to fill out a little bit, if anything.
There
Kelly for 3.
That was right there.
Northern New Mexico up by 7. Kelly's now in double digits with 10 points.
Another steal.
And the Eagles force another steal. Harris going to go 1-on-3, and he's fouled. Boy, it's a bailout. Fouled by the freshman Williams. Benjamin was in position, and Williams probably should have just let Harris go up there. I don't think he was going to be able to do anything with that.
Well, good job by Herrera stealing that ball. Mm-hmm. They're just all over the court right now. Good job.
Well, and that's the thing about a press. When a press is working, the players just sell out to it that much more, buy into it that much more, and you just start creating more and more turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until you give them something to hang their heads about, they're going to be in your shorts the rest of the game.
I mean, what a swing. They're up by 8.
Yeah, Coach Russ Caton wants to talk about it, and I don't blame him. 38-30, Northern New Mexico with the lead right now on the strength of just pure full court pressure. And I got to wonder, again, Lamont Sanders, the starting point guard from yesterday, not in the game. And I got to wonder what impacts that's having on. We have seen the freshman Williams make a couple of bad decisions, not to pick on him, but he's the freshman as opposed to a junior point guard. And Northern New Mexico has kind of found something, I think, with Adams State. Yeah, we talked about, boy, they may have a little more front court presence than we're used to, but they might be a little thinner at the guard than we're used to from the looks of things.
I think that's a good observation, and I would agree with that. A lot of those turnovers are just poor ball handling decisions.
Malik Norell, the 5'11 junior from San Antonio, Texas, number 1 in the game at guard as they try and find the combination. I think one of the real downsides to sort of this lack of rhythm that they got is that Walker, who's an exceptional guard, they don't want to put the ball in his hands as point because they need him to do some scoring, but they're unable to get him in rhythm too.
Up by 9. Wow.
Brown in backcourt. Williams, that's a nice little scoop pass ahead to Benjamin. They triple team him.
I thought that was a good call, Satterfield, with the reach.
But I like the defensive intensity. That's the reason you're up by 9 right now. So you don't, and you're putting the big guy at the free throw line to shoot. You know, I mean, better than having Benjamin distributing from there or receiving it down on the block where he's almost automatic, right?
Right.
Thanks for making me look like a genius, kid. Benjamin with 5 points, looking for his 6th there.
Well, the other thing is when you allow that double team to actually collect around the player, that's what creates the chaos. Misses both free throws.
So it is a good trade on the foul from Northern New Mexico. Here's Kelly into the lane. Oh boy, that's a nice dish. It was too good for Garcia to hang on to. Satterfield goes to the floor, able to get it to Garcia in the corner. Kelly wants 3. That's good.
Wow.
It's just going right for Northern New Mexico right now. 42-30. They're up by a dozen, but again, you make your breaks, right? And this is all this whole offensive outburst is predicated on defensive intensity.
No question about it. And, they're taking advantage of every opportunity that they get. Those double teams have created, I don't know, I don't have the stats in front of me. I don't even know how many turnovers they have.
It's about to get even more fun, Rick. This is pure small ball. We got 10 guards on the floor right now.
Yeah, that's a definite foul on Kelly.
So, yeah, it could get really fun or it could really drag out right now as we go with a bunch of handsy guards trying to slap the ball out of each other's hands. But we should be looking at speed here for the final 2 minutes of this. There is not a post player on the floor right now for Adams State or Northern New Mexico. And because Northern New Mexico has been using the full court press, they have absolutely taken the advantage away from Adams State and forced Adams State to play their game.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great observation. And the bigs for Adams State have had to come out because they're just not handling the ball.
And I think Adams State's got to figure something out at halftime to get them on the floor and take advantage of it, because this is Northern New Mexico's game right here. I mean, if you're Adams, you've still got to try to assert your will at some point. Kelly with the kick out to Harris. That shot's no good. A late call on the offensive foul there. The charge going to be drawn by Raven Brown on Harris. And honestly, I think it might be the right call. It came awful late, though.
Came awful late. Roberto Mendoza, Jared Perez is checking in for Northern New Mexico.
And I will say this, that going with the all-guard lineup for Adams State seemed to – Northern New Mexico came out of the rhythm a little bit that time. That was not a good-looking set for the Eagles. So there's Walker with it, rises, fires a three. That's good. And, again, sure enough, they get into their own offensive rhythm. We had talked about Walker had been really quiet. He's got his 11th point after the three. The bleeding stopped, and the Grizzlies are back within 7 now. Minute 20 to go. If they could get this thing down to 3, they're going to feel really good about it, and that's a great call.
That is a great call.
I think Reed created the turnover. Herrera, out of frustration, fouled him right back, and the official was right on top of it. Herrera upset with the call. It's his second personal as he goes to the bench, but great job by the official there. We've seen good officiating here this weekend, Rick.
We have.
Probably a good time to say it and then knock on wood a little bit, because there's going to be times when we're not so impressed, but I sure have been this. And it's tough calling games early in the season.
Yeah, it is.
As officials, you're out of practice.
You bet.
Games don't have as much flow as they'll have later in the year.
Now, the better officials, they'll go to camps and get a lot of minutes in, but not all of them. And these guys, they're doing a really good job.
Kelly, the kick out to Malik Petty.
Short.
Perez, the long three. And, the legs are gone for Northern New Mexico. And meanwhile, it looks like Adams State is pretty fresh. Down by 5. There's a tie-up there. Roberto Mendoza, the freshman guard from Mexico City, number 1 into the game for Northern New Mexico.
7-0 run with a chance to make it 8 or 9. Double bonus.
Well, and what that meant is we had a 12-0 run from Northern New Mexico right before that. So, I mean, we've settled in. We've seen lineup changes. We know there's a little fatigue early in the season, too. You can have tired legs at the end of the first half.
Lead down to 4, 38-42.
It's feeling like basketball a little bit here. Treated some good contest here so far today. Northern New Mexico wants to talk things over. They worked so hard for that 12-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go. It was like a minute 51. They're up by 12. And have Adams State, who looked like they were absolutely just trying to limp into the locker room. Grizzlies put on a big 8-0 run here. And they've got the Eagles on the ropes a little bit. I like the timeout from Jesus Aragon, the Northern New Mexico coach. I believe it's his first year there, Rick. I don't remember him from last year.
I think it is his first year.
But I've liked what he's done as a coach this weekend. I mean, they were significantly outgunned by the Skyhawks last night, but they didn't quit.
No, they never cashed it.
They made a couple of runs on, never enough to to really threaten to take over the game or anything, but they did make runs. They made the Skyhawks react. The coaching staff make some changes a couple of times to slow them down. I've been impressed with Northern New Mexico, and I've been down here long enough to know that Adams State is going to come in here and play the Skyhawks and just be a tough out no matter what I see this weekend.
And that's what they do every time. I mean, it's amazing.
Garcia will inbounds in front of the Grizzlies bench. 6-second differential game clock, shot clock, excuse me. Perez receives the inbounds, almost has it knocked away. Able to track it down, the freshman Williams. Going to guard him. Perez into the lane. Boy, loses the handle, able to regain it and roll the left hand up. Very nice play. Reed in backcourt now. 12 seconds to go. He bounces it back to Brown. Brown across the timeline, guarded by Perez. Picks up the dribble, gets it to Reed. Nice feed down low to Williams. The freshman banks it up and in. Kelly gets there to try and make a play. Perez going to launch one from half court, but it's late.
Nice touch pass down low to Reed for the lay-in. 4-point game.
Entertaining game. Northern New Mexico Eagles 44, the Adams State Grizzlies 40. Thanks for listening, folks, on the RMAC Network. We'll be back with the second half in a few minutes.